Hello everyone, it's great to be here today during this crazy time. My thoughts with everybody, with what they're going through. And I've just been nicely invited by Orlando to play some really intense music that is really dear to my heart for solo viola by Penderecki. He was born 1933, which is it was an easy one for me to remember because it was 3 years before my father. Quite an intense time, and actually only passed away a couple months ago in 2020, I believe in March 2020. He was really, really well known for writing an incredible piece, Serenity for the Victims of Hiroshima, which is for a very large mass of strings, and using incredible different techniques to produce some incredible effects. What I will do at some point is, once you hear the whole piece through, is start to take apart bits of it just to sort of show you and talk a little bit about what he did, which is so incredible with this piece. It's very short, I think 6 to 8 minutes, not even that. And we will look forward to doing that as well at some point. But for now, we'll start with just giving you a complete performance.
One of the most amazing things about this piece is that there are no bar lines. And some people think that when you're playing a solo instrument or without an orchestra behind you or with you or not playing chamber music like a string quartet, that means then of course you can just be completely free without any sense of order. And that's not true either. So just to demonstrate this point, what's incredible is that he is very, very specific about rests and eighth notes, and also giving us some form in the piece. There are two slow sections, one in the beginning, one at the end. So these two sections start like this, and they're very, very rhythmic, even though there are no bar lines. Just to give you a brief demonstration. Still no bar lines. Ever, really. But you can see that there's still a pulse. And when you hear the whole piece through, you'll also recognize this section, though it comes back in a very different way, and also a fifth higher, 5 notes higher. Still talking about the theme of no bar lines, the incredible middle section to me, again, it's mostly 16th notes, and it says vivace. So the funny thing about Penderecki, he gives you really nice Italian titles, like the beginning and the first and last sections are lento, slower, and vivace. And he does give you a few directions, like allegando, a little bit slower here, a little bit faster here, a little bit pesante, meaning heavy. So again, just a little bit of this middle section. Again, 16th notes, I think you'll hear rhythm and pulse, but he often mixes segments of 3s and 2s. In slow motion, that means something like this. So that's 3. 1, 2, 3. But then often it's 2s. Or 1, 2, 1. Oh, here's a 3 again. So it can be quite confusing, but altogether it sounds like this.
Then there he goes just to straight eighth notes. And so that could be, but that's quite jarring, but it's still all very rhythmic. And he does write triplets as well, which is 3 notes within a beat. Another incredible thing about this music is the intervals. He uses perhaps, Penderecki uses perhaps what we say non-traditional intervals, or when we're speaking of Western classical music or more tonal music. But are there still tonal centers? Yes, for sure. For instance, as I may have mentioned before, but the opening really centers around G. So the viola is our 2nd string up, or 3rd string down. So it really centers around that note. Oh, there's that G. And then in the last lento, he centers around D, or my 3rd string up, 2nd string down. But he adds some crunchy intervals, or chords, 2 notes at the same time. But still centered around D. So you see, hopefully, there's some correlations there, and very interesting facts, but yet it can still seem very, let's say, hard to know what matters in terms of pitch. One of the exciting things about this music, again, though this music can seem very foreign to people, at the same time, Penderecki uses these incredible sequences. A sequence can be thought of in many different ways, rhythmic or tonal, in terms of the notes, but I mean, they're very simplistic in some ways. He just takes a sequence of 3 notes, and he just keeps adding, he keeps rising by a half step each time. The next one, you know what's coming next. Still. But then he changes it and goes up a whole step, but then starts another sequence. And that's how it leads us into. But then what he also does with that sequence is he makes it faster and faster, which I didn't do there, just for the purposes of explanation. Another fantastic thing is his use of double stops, which make an instrument just ring, especially because he does, Penderecki, maybe makes me play 2 notes, or makes the performer play 2 notes at a time. But often one of them is an open string. So whilst I'm going crazy in the vivace, well, hopefully not too crazy, but having a good time playing the fast stuff, then he breaks out into these incredible double stops, meaning I'm playing 2 notes at the same time. It sounds very different. Here. So I'm playing a nice line, but then I'm adding an open D. And that's really, really powerful way to play music. One other thing that's really, really fascinating about this music is that he uses intervals, that means the space between notes, in such a creative way that when we have an interval, we end up on an interval that is still what we think dissonant, because what came before it was so harsh, what he ends up sounds quite nice. We're playing, so for instance, there's this other sequence, this sequence of chords, where I'm playing these major 7s, which means it's almost an octave, but not quite, which would be 2 equal notes. Little deviation there. Then, almost sounds friendly, even though it's still a dissonant interval.